How's it going? This is Rick at Ralph, and today I will be continuing my series on the pin variation. Today we'll be covering the center defense. This is somewhat similar to the lion defense, but your idea is basically just to get your center out in spite of the fact you're being pinned. Just kind of basically ignore the annoying bishop. So we start right here. Let me get the notation on. H5, black will generally play this move first, F8. Then we see the pin variation. Now, if this was the first move, obviously we wouldn't have this variation. So we'd have to play something else, like maybe a two bishops or a classical attack. From here, black's just going to keep on moving his center pawns. And what he wants to do is get this prince up right here, and then expand this center pawn and bring this lion out. And what this does is it gets all of the targets off of this diagonal right here, and then you will be able to push this pawn and complete your central development. In this opening, you'll have slightly passive bishops, but they will get into the game fairly quickly because you do win a little bit of time playing this way because the bishop has to reposition. So from here, white usually pushes this pawn, and the reason we're doing this is in case black comes up and wants to hold this space, we might be able to get an annoying pin here if black plays incorrectly. So black has to play this in this situation to keep this pressure off, and white could come up here, but this is just fine for black. Comes up, threatens, and as we see here, all you really have to do is just take, and then just bring your knight up right here, and you're just fine in this position. You will get an isolated pawn, but you'll have much faster development, and really you'll be doing just fine. Another variation is to bring the camel out. This also works just fine. And then you could also try to blockade in this situation. Another move is to bring your lion up, and that the idea of that move is just to I'm sorry, go back a move. The other move is to bring your lion up and then try to post it right here just to keep this bishop out. That's kind of a slow opening. I don't like it because it gets harassment. So yeah, I just go here. He goes here. This is usually how this one plays out. But this is kind of slow for white, so what white usually wants to do is just bring his prince up and keep up with development, because this one pawn really isn't worth that much, and it'll still be pretty hard to attack because black has a lot of pieces pointing at it. So it's just kind of a waste of time, really. I mean, you just want to get your pieces developed. So from here, black will play upward. At this point, it's still not good to harass right here, really, because we're just kind of wasting time in our opening. Even though you could swing the bishop, if we were going to do this, we should have did it right from the beginning. So from here, it's better to just play your lion out and start getting your center rolling and work on your castling. And then from this position, now that we got the prince out of the way, we start bringing this pawn up. So we got our 4-pawn front, and we start putting our pieces behind it. Now the bishops look passive, but they're not that difficult to deal with. I'll show you that in a moment. From here, white would like to backswing his bishop. Black plays his lion, and now we're threatening to harass right here. So I just bring the bishop back prematurely. It doesn't really matter. I just prefer to do it that way, to make it their choice to push the pawn and not mine. So right here, it's still probably the best move just to push the pawn. I don't really see any reason not to push the pawn. It just seems like the best move. From here, white castles. Black comes up. Bishop goes to g3, and there's a threat right here, so we bring our elephant out in this position. And that way, if white was to do this, go to c7, then you can play the elephant to d8, and we blocked this skewer x-ray thing that they got going on. So that's how you deal with that. And you don't really want to push this pawn, so it's better to just kind of get your pieces in a position where the bishop won't be able to come out anyways. Another move you could play is knight right here. Just keep in mind if you do this, you need to push this pawn before you move your elephant, because this pawn can become weak. But we're going to go with the elephant move because I like it a little better, because we have a spot for our camel anyways. And the elephant might actually get another move in, so the camel might not even have to recede to that square. So from here, white will generally want to expand these two pawns and then get his queenside roll. And I like to expand this pawn first and kind of keep black guessing. From this point, we should really develop our bishops. I prefer to go here because then we get the king castling. This is a common spot for bishops when you have a 4-pawn front like this. And in this position, you can go up here, but I don't really care for it because it's just going to exchange bishops, and I like to keep pieces on the board. There's nothing wrong with this move, though. I just don't like blocking the eagle's path either, so I have my reasons. And then from here, white will bring his knight out because we want to start expanding our queen side. Just keep in mind you want to get most of your pieces behind pawns on the queen side. And only once you have a nice front do you want to come in and start making threats. From here, black castles. White's going to finish expanding his 4-pawn front. Black can consider expanding at this point or developing. Both moves are correct. I like the concept of trying to take down pieces with forks, so bring the camel out, try to go here. This is always a good line when you have the eagle to put some of your pieces because it doesn't block the eagle and it keeps the eagle protected. I don't suggest having this many royal pieces. I actually had an interesting game where I had all 3 of my royal pieces lined up. It got pretty crazy. I did end up winning, but still it was pretty dangerous tactically. I only won because of my lion being so dangerous. But from here, you can expand this way. This is actually a good counter move anyways to keep this camel off. Camel comes here, trying to attack these 2 squares. So that's kind of an annoying threat. One way to deal with this is just push this pawn forward. You can also push this pawn forward, and if the camel comes in, just bring your lion right here, which is what I'm going to do, because this hampers this bishop, and we keep our center flexible, so that's good. From here, black may bring his camel out and try to start some harassment, but don't be alarmed. I don't think the camel really has any major threats. They'll just go here, and then the camel will go here. No, excuse me, I'm sorry. Camel will go here and just find a post. And this is kind of annoying. You could just bring your bishop up this way. Probably the best move. And you just kind of have to deal with it. You can always recede your bishop back later in the game. This is somewhat of a concession, but really we're just trying to keep our bishop alive. Just don't let them bully your bishop without getting something out of it. So if they bring pawns up, let them hurt their pawn structure. Maybe you can find a way to get the camel lodged out. You do have a light squared camel, so maybe if you position it correctly, that's another way to deal with it. So from here, black just wants to start really expanding. Probably the best way would be to go here and let this pawn come, or this bishop have some scope. And black's really kind of playing more dark square power anyway, so this really helps out and provides outposts later in the game. So this is probably the best pawn move, and we just want to kind of keep threats out too. And this is just nice to expand a little bit because we do have a good deal of development here. I'm going to try this move. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the cannon for the camel, that I'd probably like having the cannon more. And I'm just trying to wedge this camel out of the position. From here, white could go here, but we're just in a limitless dance then. You could even get repetition. They go here. If you don't want to deal with it, you can just go back here. Nothing wrong with this. You still get your camel here, and then maybe later you can bring your camel back here and just do something with that. You can, I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. I've given you a brief overview. I think you get the picture. It's just a center version of this opening. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.